Hey everybody, welcome back to The Pressing Matters. I'm Scott. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for your support. Today, a very special subject, reel-to-reel tape. It's something that I wanted to cover for a while, and it recently came to fruition. Recently, my audio dealer, Ozzy, was over and he was rummaging around in my vault and he saw a stack of equipment in the corner. This is the stack of equipment that needs repair. There's some beautiful things in there too. A Perot 3150B amp, just a brute amp. I would love to have that back in operation. Also a Yamaha CR 2020 receiver, which is just gorgeous and needs to be fixed. And at the bottom of the stack was a Pioneer RT707 reel-to-reel deck. And he said to me, "Why the hell isn't this in your system?" I said, "Well, that's the stack of equipment that needs to be repaired." And you know how that goes. It sits there, you can't find anyone, and then you just like give up and end up giving it away at a yard sale. Well, he said, "That's not going to happen to this one. We're going to send this over to Jeffrey. You know Jeffrey, you met him." I'm like, "Yeah, yep, Jeffrey." We went to the audio show in Florida with him. He said, "Yeah, he loves to tinker with these. Let's get this over to him and see what he can do with it." And in the meantime, I'm going to lend you one of my 4 A77s from Revox. He said, "I have 2 2-tracks and 2 4-tracks. They've been gone over by a technician in Germany and they're working well. They are one of the best consumer decks of the time. And you can play your 4-track reel-to-reels on one of the 4-track machines." I said, "Oh, that's great." I said, this is wonderful because that Pioneer would have sat there for another 10 years. I'm sure of it. And I've been wanting to talk about reel-to-reel on the channel. So yeah, this is a great thing. So he brought it over. It's a really nice deck. Has a vintage 70s look with a wood grain exterior. It's mounted on a stand in which you can rotate the deck. So it can be flat if you wish. It can be at an angle or straight up and down. It has the lighted meters and everything we love about reel-to-reel. It just looks cool. Reel-to-reel is a cool medium. You know, today's reel-to-reel is very expensive. You know, the machines can cost up to $20,000. The tapes can cost $500 for one album. And it's definitely a rich man's playground. But if you get into the vintage side of things, you can do it for a lot less money. And it's very, very rewarding. As a consumer format, it really didn't come into prominence until the late 50s. And that was with 2-track stereo tapes. These are still coveted today. RCA made a bunch of them. They are very short programs. They're 2 tracks in one direction. But they offer the highest fidelity of any consumer grade tape, with the exception of today's 15 IPS tapes. What followed the 2 tracks was 4-track 7.5 IPS tapes, and that is what I have here for the comparison. I also have stacks of these tapes, and there's some more coming in from a generous viewer, which I'll show you a couple of those as well. Many of these I have the disc equivalents, so if there is interest in this subject, I will do disc to tape comparisons and let you know what I think, and pick some winners or losers. Many of the ones I have are from the Absolute Sound Super Disc list. That was kind of my guiding light at the time I was doing the collection, so I picked these up mostly on eBay at the time. Many were like $10 or $12, sometimes a little more, but generally people don't know what to do with these. And that's why people give them to other people, because if you're interested, maybe you can do something with them and hopefully listen to them. And that's what this viewer did for me. He knew I was going to listen to them and talk about them and promote them. So he felt very happy to move them on to me. So how this was set up was I played back the reel and set the levels so that the level would match the volume of the disc playback. This is great because the reel-to-reel deck has its own volume control, so that's great. I level match them so that when I can just go back and forth from sources, it's like doing an A-B. There was a slight delay between the two, so I could hear a passage and then switch back and hear the passage on the other format. In this case, this is one of the earliest Mercury records. It's SR90002. It's in the first batch. Eugene List is on piano. It's Howard Hanson and the Eastman Rochester Orchestra. Of course, it's recorded by Robert Fine and his wife Wilma Cozart Fine. It is mastered by George Piros. This is a later stamper. It is an FR5, FR5. FR1s are generally the ones you want to look for. This is pressed at Indianapolis. The track we're going to be talking about is Rhapsody in Blue. Rhapsody in Blue is the only track shared by these two tapes and discs. On the tape, for whatever reason, they included Cuban Overture instead of Concerto in F. On the disc, Concerto in F takes up all of side 1, most of side 2, and Rhapsody in Blue is squeezed on the end of the side. It also creeps up quite close to the label. I'll show you that in close-up. On the tape, Rhapsody in Blue starts off the tape. So I had everything synced up. I started to play them, and the first thing I noticed was the record seemed to be a bit more brilliant on the piano at first. This was in the middle of the side of the record where Rhapsody in Blue starts. And I thought maybe I preferred the disc. As the track went on, I noticed that I was hearing more information on the tape, little percussive accents, different things that were just about inaudible on the disc. And I thought that was very interesting. As the track went on, climaxes were obviously constricted on the disc where they weren't on the tape. This was a joy to hear because as I was going back and forth, every time I switched to the record, things were getting worse and worse. There was distortion on piano strikes, there was congestion in the climaxes, there was a restriction of fidelity as it reached the inner groove, and it was like, oh wow. It's funny because we treasure these Mercury recordings, but they have some problems. And I don't think it was just because it was a later stamper. It's just the nature of the medium. This played flawlessly to the end. The climaxes were clean. The piano actually was just as brilliant. It just has a little bit more hiss around it. So it gave the illusion initially that it wasn't quite as brilliant, but the tape won in this particular shootout. I had a new appreciation for this recording of the Gershwin Rhapsody in Blue. It's not one that I normally reach for, and that's because the few times I've played this, I've been disappointed. So it's a very interesting thing, and I think if there's an interest in this, I will go through and give you disc to tape evaluations of the Decca Firebird with Answer May, the Ravel Debussy, also by Answer May, another Mercury, Leroy Anderson Volume 2, I have this disc as well, the Strauss Waltzes with Reiner and the Chicago Symphony, a TAS Super Disc title as well. I have all of these. Now there are some other tapes that this viewer sent me that I'm not sure I have disc equivalents of. So this is Zubin Mehta with the Vienna Philharmonic and a selection of preludes. I'm pretty sure I have that one. I'm not certain though. This is a very interesting one I played the other night. It's on London Phase 4, which is kind of known for gimmicky recordings. in the pop realm, but on the classical side, things are really good. And this is a very good performance of Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 2, very natural. Ivan Davis, with Henry Lewis conducting the Royal Philharmonic. A big surprise. I also have some from my own collection, pop and classical. This is Ella singing the Gershwin songbook. This is fabulous, of course. It's nice to get such a long program on one tape. Another long program is this one, Coppelia, a ballet. So this is like a 2-record set on one tape. And there's more and more and more. I have a lot to talk about. If you're interested in this, please be sure to leave a comment because that's the only way I'm going to know if I should go forward with more comparisons on this subject. So let me know in the comments. Until next time, I'm Scott for The Pressing Matters. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.